How you doing? My name is Jason Edwards. I'm the director of Kaisokah Moko USA Incorporated, and this is Moko Jumbie 101. Moko Jumbie is a culture, it's a way of life. It's something that started in West Africa. The word Jumbie is known for a ghost in the West Indian culture. The word Moko is known for king in the West African culture. So when Moko Jumbie came to Trinidad, they changed it up to become, more of a cultural thing, meaning, more of a celebration and using carnivals and different things like that. Other than saying Moko Jumbie, we also say stilt walker, stilt dancer. Stilts been around for decades. Like I said, it started in West Africa. They had it as part of their celebratory stuff and culture and things like that. In the 1900s, it came to the West Indies, Trinidad. There's a story behind that too. Folks said the Moko Jumbie literally walked across the ocean to get to Trinidad. That's how the West Indies got the culture of Moko Jumbie. And it kind of died down until the 1990s. That's when it really started picking back up in Trinidad and the other West Indian cultures due to the efforts of two individuals in Trinidad and Tobago, one named Dragon and the other one named Moose. They're the ones that really pushed it to the level that it is today. They pushed it to the point where it was in everything. It was in carnival, it was in weddings, it was in funerals, it was in any kind of celebration, you name it, Moko Jumbie was present. Kaisokah Moko Jumbies, we are the USA branch of Kaisokah. It's a branch that was started in Trinidad and Tobago by my mentor, Junior Bisnut. I learned a lot from Mr. Bisnut. So after learning so much, and I decided to start my own group here in New York, I decided to call it Kaisokah and put the USA at the end of it. We're here to provide not just stilt dances for carnivals and different events in New York, but we're also here to teach the culture of stilt dancing. To the kids, to the young adults, to anybody that's willing to learn, we're here to teach that culture to those individuals. Definitely there's a lack of teaching of the culture in the schools, in the community, in different parts of not just New York, but the United States, different countries and stuff like that, because there's a lot of kids and adults that's becoming Moko Jumbie stilt dancers. There's a lot of people that's doing it and interested in the art form. So why not bring it into the schools? That'd be great if I could have a 5th period Moko Jumbie class where I just don't teach them how to walk on stilts, but I could also teach the kids the culture. That's a lesson plan, and I could teach them how to build the different stilts and stuff like that. When it comes to being a Moko Jumbie instructor, director of an organization, I want the kids of tomorrow, the future, to really take control of the culture. Just don't let it slip by now. I want them to continue teaching and learning the art form, not just the Moko Jumbie, but the mass culture also, because it all ties into each other. Moko Jumbie is one of Trinidad's main carnival characters when it comes to Trinidad Carnival. So I would love to see my organization, Kaisokah Moko Jumbies, in a building, performing year-round, teaching year-round to hundreds of kids and young adults the art form. The reason I started doing Moko Jumbie is because I grew up around people in my neighborhood in Trinidad doing Moko Jumbie. As a small kid, I could remember just trying to everywhere they go, just following them and just wanting to be around them. At that time, I was somewhat too young to start learning with them. I didn't have anybody to really take me to their location, so I was just happy being around them. So I always had the love since small, as far as I could remember. As I came to the United States, I found a group that was already teaching in New York, so I started learning with them. And with my travels back and forth to Trinidad, I met Mr. Bisnut. And throughout the time speaking to him, sitting down by his residence in Trinidad and learning all the knowledge he had to offer me, you know, it just pushed me even more to start my own organization. When it comes to Kiddies Carnival, our band, we do have a band for the carnival. That's basically just the kids, ages from, I think it's 1 to 17, if I'm not mistaken. Our band consists of Moko Jumbie sections and also kids on the ground, because a lot of our Moko Jumbie students have little brothers and sisters that they don't want to do the stilts, but they still want to be in our band. So for the past few years, we have been making costumes for kids on the ground so they could still be part of our band. We have placed first, second, and third for a few years. Hopefully we was trying to do that this year too with our theme. We will see what happens. Our theme for this year's Labor Day Carnival is called Fairies, Wings of Love. I decided to go with that theme this year because I wanted to just dedicate everything to the love of culture. So each section would be named a love word. You know, it wouldn't just be called, oh, this is a fairy section. No, it would be called, for example, love, you know, any other word that associate with love and emotions and stuff like that. That would be the name of each individual section. And for the first time this year, we was going to come out with a traditional character costume band for behind the museum. So I have a lot of ideas flowing where we could use the culture of Moko Jumbie into the Labor Day Carnival. We wear colorful costumes when we're performing, sometimes even when we practice. When we walk in the street doing our practice sessions in the summertime, our costumes are very colorful. Sometimes a client or an organization that want us present at their event may have a color scheme that they want us to somewhat be close to in costuming. So we might have an all-white costume on, or pink and white costume, maybe a black pants and a colorful top, something to be close to whatever theme they have going for their event. So in order to become a Moko Jumbie, a stilt dancer, a stilt walker, the very first step is you have to stretch. Before you get on your stilts, the training stilts, the bigger stilts, you always have to stretch. So therefore, you can avoid any cramps or body ache or muscle aches. After you stretch, you would be tied onto a beginner stilts. Now these are one of our beginner stilts. Now we have smaller ones for smaller kids over there. So right now I'm gonna show you one of the stilts for a young adult. This is who we would use these for. Now when we're putting you on the beginner stilts, we will put your foot on. We would make sure the stilts, these are a little small for me, but we would make sure this part right here is a little higher up, right underneath your knee. Therefore, you will be more comfortable. This length, me being a seasoned walker, I could still use these, but it's not recommended. Okay, one thing about stilts, you have to follow the instructions of a trainer. So once your feet are on the stilts, we will take strap, as we call it, and tie your foot on. We will tie your foot on, and then we'll take sponge and tie it around your foot right here. And then once both feet is on the stilts, we would help you to stand up, and guide you over to a wall or fence, any way that you could really hold on to, and do something we call chops. Now chops is just like marching. It's a 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. That's the process that we would normally use. Now we would try and have somebody do that for a half an hour or until you get comfortable. If it takes longer, no problem. We will let you be as comfortable as possible. Some people, it could take them 10 minutes. That's no problem. But some people, it might take them an hour, 2 hours, and we work with you. Behind me, I have different heights of stilts. This stilts right here is one of our young ladies. She's been in the group for close to 8-9 years. These stilts, they're about 3.5, give or take, in height. They've been cut down a lot. These are one of mine. They've been going for close to 14 years. So, knock on wood, these stilts have been holding up for a long time. The stilts are made up of wood, of course. The type of wood, it depends on your location. In the Caribbean, they use something called pitch pine. In New York, we use 2x3 studs. These are my Miami stilts. This is what I use for Labor Day and Miami. The color of the stilts was basically done because that was the color of the costume at that point in time. You might see somebody in all red stilts. They might just do it because it's going with their costume that they're wearing. These are about 5 feet, give or take. These stilts, as I mentioned before, the pitch pine, these are pitch pine stilts. These were made by myself and my mentor, Junior Bisnut, in Trinidad a few years ago. These stilts right now are about 5.5 feet, give or take. The sneakers are not screwed or bolted, they are glued on. In Trinidad, they have a certain method that they use when it comes to putting the sneakers onto the stilts. It's something totally different from what we do up here, but Kaisokah, we embrace all different aspects of doing stuff. We just don't adapt to one particular way. You saw the beginner stilts, you saw the bigger stilts. Now I would love to show you somebody on stilts. First thing he's going to show you is chops. And then after that, he's going to show you a couple more steps that we show beginners just to get them more comfortable on the stilts. To demonstrate how we do chops and a few steps that we teach our beginner learners and even some of our advanced performers, we have on stilts today, Bishmi. So right now, Bishmi is doing what we call chops. He's basically doing leg lifts, marching in place. That builds your leg muscles and teaches you to lift your foot as high as possible. Because when you're on stilts, in order to walk, you have to lift your feet. You could step over cracks, you could step over bottles, branches, anything that's in your way. You would lift your feet and step over. Normally, we would do it for an hour and a half, 2 hours straight with all of our trainees, our performers, everybody in one long line in the yard that we practice in, doing chops. When it comes to the weight of the stilts, because the one question I always get asked is, am I too big to do stilts? No. All stilts is made to suit the individual. As you may see, somebody on stilts, they don't ever stand still. They always have to keep moving. The moving back and forth, side to side, is how we also keep our balance. So some of the don'ts when it comes to stilts are looking down. You do not want to look down on the ground when you're walking on stilts, because you want to see what's coming ahead of you. You want to see if there's any stop signs, any wire, any kind of disruption ahead of you. So you always want to look ahead. Therefore, if there's a crack coming in the street, you can step over. Some of the other don'ts is taking it back to the basics. You do not want to not pick your feet up, right? You always want to pick your feet up. It's a habit that a lot of people develop as they get better walking stilts, but it's something that you always have to remember. Pick your feet up, because the one thing that's going to happen is an accident that we do not want. When it comes to Kaisokah being in an event, for example, Wadika's events behind the museum for Labor Day weekend, we just don't send out performers. We have something called a handler, which is somebody that's on the ground that's there to make sure the people on stilts is safe, nothing happens, anything they need is taken care of. When it comes to walking through a crowd, the handler is the person in front of them making the path. So therefore, they're informing the public that you have stilt people walking, coming up. So I would love to talk about some of the do's when it comes to stilt walking. We touched on the don'ts, let's touch on the do's. The good parts of stilt walking. It's a good thing to stretch. It is definitely a good thing to stretch. It loosens up your muscles. It gets you very relaxed and able to dance and do all of the drills, the tricks, and everything that we're doing for the day. Something else that's good to do is have a lot of water. Drink water, because it keeps you hydrated. When it comes to our choreography, yes, we do have certain moves that a Moko Jumbie does. For example, we have the stoop. That's one of the moves that we do. We have something called one leg in the air to the side. Those are two of the different moves that we do. There's many more that we could keep going, but here at Kaisokah, we're trying to take it beyond just doing the everyday moves. We love to dance. That's why we never call ourselves stilt walkers, but we consider ourselves stilt dancers, because we love to dance. We do stuff like open close. We have something called a knock knee. We have something called the 1-2 step. So we're not just walking around or standing around, but we actually moving. We even whine on the stilts, if you could believe it or not. So we're not just standing there, but we actually dancing.
Well, as you saw, it was a lot of different dance moves being performed, and so I would say everyone's definitely different. You might take longer than other people. For me personally, for the moves where I just had to take a step, like with the 1-2, where it's 1, 2, 3, 4, you know, forward and back, I got moves like that a little bit easier, as opposed to the stoop and the 1 foot up. It's just, you gotta keep practicing it, and you gotta push yourself to want to complete the move. You know, here at Kaisokah, we're not afraid to help people, so I have helped train people to catch their leg, you know, with a little bit of push. But for me, it was definitely, I just had to keep trying it until I could eventually do it, and being comfortable in the group, having people around me just in case I might have stumbled and fall there. I knew they were there to catch me, so I trusted them, and that helped me get that move down, and also other moves like the stoop, and just catching my leg in different ways. Just seeing myself progress and get better, and it's just a great feeling, like knowing that you're able to do something that a lot of people can't do, and you could see yourself progress in what you aspire to do. So that just kept building up, and it's something I'll do until maybe I get too old.
How we teach our members is to be able to dance to any kind of music. If it's soca, pop, hip hop, reggae, R&B, country, no matter what, we try to play a different variety of music during practice so the members get comfortable, and if we go out and soca is not being played, they're able to still perform. So, in closing, I would love to say thank you to the West Indian Carnival Association, the Bishmi, everybody that's been able to help us at Kaisokah. Please stay tuned. Thank you for watching. Any questions, you can always visit our website, KaiSokahUSA.com. You can contact us there. Any social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, you name it, you can find us on there. Please, everybody stay safe in this current time. We want to protect the culture. We want to protect every individual person because we're all special and we all could be a Moko Jumbie. Thank you.